People who are not good at giving away love can't give away love because they don't have it to give away. If I want to give you a dozen oranges, I can't give you those dozen oranges unless I go out and pick up 12 oranges someplace. Otherwise, all it is just empty rhetoric. And the same thing is true of virtually everything in your life. You can't give away love for others if you don't have love in here to give away. If what you have in here is contempt, if what you have in here is anger, if what you have in here is fear, then these are the things you're going to be giving away in your life. And I've often thought, and I really believe very strongly that there's a law, sort of a law in the universe. I call it the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is one that works like this. You get back from the universe, from the world, what it is that you put out there in the world. And if you're putting out there into the world that I am not worthy of attracting something beautiful into my life, that the universe will respond back to you with exactly that message. And there are people who come to me and who came to me for years when I had my own counseling practice and so on, and they would say to me, I just keep attracting the same kind of people, the same kind of events, the same kind of losers into my life. Why is that? Why do I keep doing that? And I keep attracting an absence of abundance. I just can't seem to attract abundance into my life. I'm always behind the 8 ball. I'm never getting ahead. And I suggested to them, I said, did it ever occur to you that that's the very kind of message you're sending out to the world and out to the universe? That the ocean of abundance is there. And you can go to that ocean of abundance and you can take a Mack truck and you can fill it up 20 times a day and take it out of there, and guess what? It doesn't impact at all the ocean of abundance. It doesn't even go down a zillionth of an inch. It's unlimited. Or you can go to the same ocean of abundance with a eyedropper, and you can just take this much out once a month and say, that's all that seems to be available for me. And the interesting thing for me is that when people go to this ocean of abundance, this unlimited world, all that I have is thine, it says in the holy books. All that I have is thine. It's all there for you. But if you believe inside that it's limited, that you can only get so much, that other people are going to get it before you do, then you'll find yourself creating that very same thing. And the even more interesting part about this, you can't give away what you don't have principle, is that if your message to the universe is gimme, 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 which is a lot of people's message to the universe. I want this from you, I want that from you, please give me this, I have to have that. That's what their prayer is like, that's what their message is, and they say, I want this from the universe, gimme, gimme, gimme. The universe's response back to that kind of a mentality is exactly the same. The universe will say right back to you over and over again, gimme, gimme, gimme. And you'll find yourself never ever arriving, but always being in a state of striving, always feeling as if you're being neglected, never feeling as if you have enough, always feeling as if you're being shortchanged, because you're constantly under the pressure to give, to get back what the universe is demanding from you. And the interesting thing about all of this, the irony of this, is that if you shift that and you say to the universe, to the world, how may I serve? How may I serve? The universe's response back to you is, how may I serve you? How may I serve you? And it's very intriguing. When you take your energy and your attention off of what you are demanding from the world, and instead saying, what can I give to the world? And it's really the basis behind that very famous line of the President John Kennedy's inaugural address. Ask not what your country can do, ask what you can do for your country. And the irony of that is, and I've learned that in my own life, that when I stopped thinking about what was in it for Wayne Dyer and how much could I get, and I began to shift and say, how can I help you? How can I give to you? What can I do for you? And people who write to me, I send them something. When I encounter somebody that needs help of some kind, I'm very often just giving that to them. And then I find that it just keeps coming back into my life. And once I shifted that energy off of what can I have into what can I give, it seemed to me that the universe responded back with the very same message. What can I give to you? And the most incredible and wonderful and beautiful abundance has flowed into my life in every way that I can possibly think of. You can't give away what you don't have.
There is a stillness in you that cannot be disturbed, a place untouched by fear, unshaken by chaos, and immune to the noise of the world. It has no name, yet it knows everything. It has no shape, yet it holds the shape of your peace. It is not your mind, for your mind is loud. It is not your emotions, for your emotions are waves. It is not your body, for the body withers and bends to time. It is the part of you that watches quietly, lovingly, unmoved. And in that watching, there is power. We spend most of our lives reacting to what was said, to what wasn't said, to the look someone gave, to the news flashing across our screens, to the stories we carry like old, worn clothes, too heavy to wear, but too familiar to take off. We live at the mercy of our interpretations, our wounds, our replays of the past, and projections of the future. We live, but we do not watch. We act, but we do not see. To watch is not to detach from life, it is to arrive fully in it. It is to stop being dragged by the stream of every emotion and every judgment. It is to sit at the edge of the river and say, there it is again, the fear, the anger, the memory, the story, and then let it flow. The ego is a brilliant but frantic storyteller. It cannot live in the present moment because the present moment exposes its illusions. It thrives on reaction because it feeds on control. The ego needs your agreement. It needs your reactivity to survive. But your soul does not need to prove itself. It simply is. It observes without trying to fix. It accepts without needing to justify. It loves without asking to be loved back. Being the watcher is not an escape, it is the return. When you become the watcher, you are no longer the puppet of your past. You are no longer the hostage of your triggers. You begin to see that the anger is not you, it is an energy that passes through. The grief is not you, it is a wave that visits, not a house you must live in. The fear is not you, it is a voice, not your truth. There is a sacred gap between stimulus and response. And in that gap is where you reclaim your life. That gap is where the watcher lives. You are not your reactions. You are the awareness beneath them. You are not your thoughts. You are the spaciousness that notices them arise and fall. You are not the chaos. You are the calm watching the chaos. And when you remember this, you become free. Freedom doesn't come when the world is silent. It comes when you can hear the noise and choose not to be it. It comes when you can feel the heat of anger and not throw it. When you can taste the sting of offense and not become offended. When you can sit in the storm of opinion and not get swept away by any of it. There is no greater strength than presence. To be present is to live beyond reaction. It is to let go of the idea that everything demands your emotional involvement. It is to allow people to be who they are without needing to correct them. It is to hear a criticism and not make it your identity. It is to receive praise and not build your worth upon it. Presence is not passive. It is alert, grounded, alive. The watcher is not distant. The watcher is compassionate. It sees clearly because it does not cling. It understands deeply because it listens without defense. It acts with power because it does not act from fear. You see, when you become the watcher, life softens. Not because life changes, but because you do. The same situations arise, but they no longer own you. The same people trigger the same old patterns, but now you recognize them as patterns, not as truth. You stop bleeding into every moment. You stop needing everything to validate your sense of self. You return to your inner sanctuary, the place where your soul sits with open hands and a quiet smile, knowing that all things are passing clouds. You cannot stop the world from shouting, but you can stop yourself from echoing it. Buddha once said, "You will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger." And how often we let our own reactivity become the very suffering we try to avoid. We mistake reaction for power, but reaction is bondage. Reaction is the ego's way of staying alive. True power is in the pause. True power is in the breath that says, "I see you, emotion, but I do not belong to you." The watcher doesn't suppress, it doesn't deny, it simply sees, and in seeing, it liberates. Watch yourself when you're offended. Who is it that feels so injured? Is it your soul, or is it an identity you've built, now threatened by someone else's opinion? Watch your defensiveness. Who is it defending? The truth needs no defense. The ego, however, is always on guard. Watch your craving for validation. Who is it that wants to be seen? The infinite spirit within you is already seen. It is seen by the entire universe. There is nothing you need to prove. Nothing you need to fix to be enough. Nothing you need to hold on to be safe. The watcher knows this. The reactor forgets. Let your breath be your teacher. When it quickens, when it shortens, when it tightens, that is the moment to return. That is the moment to step out of the role and back into the witness. Each inhale is a choice. Each exhale is a letting go. The more you breathe consciously, the more you become aware. And awareness is the birthplace of all transformation. When you are the watcher, you stop needing life to behave the way you want it to. You stop arguing with reality. You stop insisting that people be different to make you happy. You stop controlling what was never yours to control. And in this surrender, you find peace not as an achievement, but as your original nature. Peace is not something you chase. Peace is what remains when you stop reacting. So many of us live on the edge of offense. We're ready to be hurt, ready to be insulted, ready to be outraged. We've trained ourselves to scan for threat, not physical threat, but psychological threat. Someone disagrees with us and we feel erased. Someone rejects us and we feel unworthy. But what if none of it was personal? What if every offense is an invitation to awaken? You are not what others say to you. You are what you choose to hear. Let people misunderstand you. Let them mislabel you. Let them walk away if they must. The watcher does not flinch. The watcher knows that the truth doesn't need to chase anything. The truth just is. And if someone cannot see you, that does not make you invisible. If someone rejects you, that does not make you invalid. You are not here to be understood. You are here to understand. The moment you stop needing to react, you begin to live. You begin to notice the small joys, the way the sunlight touches the leaves, the pause between two heartbeats, the sacred silence after a deep breath. These are the spaces where the divine speaks, but you must be still enough to hear. And stillness does not mean inactivity. Stillness is presence. It is clarity. It is the quiet power of a soul unbothered by the noise. You have nothing to defend, no argument to win, no ego to preserve. You have only the opportunity in every moment to return to the watcher within. So next time you feel the rise of reaction, pause, breathe, watch. You are not the storm. You are the sky. The sky does not tremble when clouds pass through it. It does not cling to the rain or resist the lightning. It allows, it witnesses, it remains. And so must you. Your true self, the eternal witness, has never been broken, never been threatened, never been less than whole. It is only the ego that flinches, that crumbles, that begs for validation in the eyes of others. The soul simply watches and waits, knowing the truth is never in the noise. Every time you choose to observe rather than react, you are retraining your consciousness. You are shifting the gravity of your identity from the external to the internal, from fear to love, from protection to presence. You become like the ocean, watching its own waves rise and fall, but never mistaking the waves for its essence. The turbulence no longer defines you. The stillness beneath becomes your home. There is a moment, brief but sacred, when awareness interrupts a habit. That moment is a portal to liberation. A chance to say, I see it, I've been here before, but this time I choose differently. And in that subtle shift, your entire life begins to change. Not because the world softens, but because you no longer harden in its presence. You stop armoring up every time someone looks at you the wrong way. You stop bracing for judgment. You begin to live unclenched, wide open, deeply rooted, and profoundly present. And isn't that what true power is? To be unshakable, not because you dominate, but because you no longer need to defend. To be calm in the midst of fire. To be kind without condition. To be aware of the storm and yet centered in your stillness. This is the life of the awakened. Not free of conflict, but free of entanglement. Not void of feeling, but void of control by those feelings. When you stop reacting, you begin seeing. You see the other person not as an enemy, but as a mirror. You see your anger not as a truth, but as a message. You see your triggers as teachers. You see life not as a series of attacks, but as a series of invitations to evolve. You begin to understand that everything that once made you flinch is here to make you free. The reactive self is a prisoner of the past. It is stitched together by old wounds, unconscious stories, and inherited beliefs. It's constantly trying to protect something, a fragile image, a constructed identity, a false sense of self. But the watcher knows there is nothing to protect because the soul is not a character. The soul cannot be injured by opinion, it cannot be destroyed by loss, it cannot be undone by time. You are not your conditioning, you are not your defense mechanisms, you are not the fight or flight impulse that flares up when things don't go your way. You are the one who sees it all. And in seeing it all, you are no longer owned by any of it. Have you ever felt the weight of a reaction coming, the anger bubbling, the heart racing, the story forming, and then you paused, you breathed, you watched, and just like that, the charge softened. That is presence. That is awakening. That is what it means to remember yourself in the heat of forgetting. It's not about never feeling triggered. It's about no longer being tricked into believing those triggers define you. It's not about being a stone cold and unfeeling. It's about being a mountain still and grounded, even as the winds howl around you. You see, the more you watch without reacting, the more you begin to trust life again. You realize that not every comment needs a comeback. Not every situation demands your opinion. Not every disagreement is a battlefield. You stop entering every interaction with armor. You stop needing the last word. You begin to understand that silence can be the loudest answer. That stillness can be the most powerful presence. And in that space, that holy space between what happened and how you choose to respond, a miracle occurs. The miracle of self-possession, of divine clarity, of peace that cannot be disturbed by anything outside of you. You no longer live from habit, you live from intention. You begin to meet life with eyes open, heart soft, and soul steady. The reactive mind is always chasing approval, chasing control, chasing an identity it can hold on to. But the watcher knows there is nothing to chase when you already are. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to be fully awake in yourself. To be so deeply rooted in your presence that even if the world misreads you, misunderstands you, misjudges you, you stay true. Truth needs no audience. Presence needs no applause. The divine in you needs no permission. And so I invite you, not tomorrow, not someday, but in this very moment, to pause. Let the breath remind you of the eternal now. Let the silence return you to the sacred watcher. Let the witness within you rise. And from that space, observe. Observe your thoughts without clinging. Observe your emotions without dramatizing. Observe your life without rushing to fix, correct, or judge. This is not the end of your spiritual path. This is the beginning. Because when you become the watcher, everything changes. Not by force, but by frequency. You stop vibrating at the level of the problem and begin rising into the solution. You stop looking for healing in others and start embodying it within yourself. You stop playing the role of the victim or the hero and simply become real. And in your realness, your grounded, divine, conscious presence, you begin to heal not just yourself, but everyone you touch. Not through preaching, not through trying, but simply through being. Being the space, being the peace, being the clarity in a world addicted to confusion. You are not here to be tossed around by life. You are here to be the still point, the silent flame, the breath between the chaos. And you'll know when you found this place, not because life gets easier, but because you stop collapsing in front of it. Your center becomes unshakable. Your peace becomes non-negotiable. Your love becomes unconditional. And from this space, my friend, everything becomes possible. And from this space, my friend, everything becomes possible. When you no longer live at the mercy of your reactions, you step into the rarest kind of power, the power of inner authority. Not dominance, not superiority, but sovereignty of the soul. You're no longer pulled by every emotional wind, no longer yanked into battles that aren't yours. You become a space of presence that others can feel but cannot disturb. You begin to hear the world not just through your ears, but through your spirit. Someone may yell and you hear their pain. Someone may judge and you hear their fear. Someone may try to provoke and you sense their longing for love. The watcher sees this, not to become better than anyone, but to remember none of it is about you. And what a relief that is. What a deep, cleansing sigh for the soul to know you are not responsible for the storms in other people's skies. You are only responsible for whether you bring your umbrella or your sunshine, whether you enter their storm or remain the calm that invites them into clarity. To live as the watcher is not to become indifferent, it's to become deeply compassionate without losing yourself. Compassion doesn't require you to abandon your peace. In fact, real compassion flows from peace. When you react, you join others in their suffering. But when you watch, you become the mirror that reflects something higher. You say without words, you don't have to live like that. There's another way. And when you live this way, something extraordinary happens. You begin to radiate peace. Not the kind that looks peaceful on the outside, but simmers with resentment underneath. Not the kind that avoids conflict by shrinking. No, this is the peace that walks into any room and changes its atmosphere. The peace that speaks without words. The peace that silences chaos just by being. Because when you are no longer at war with yourself, the world cannot drag you into battle. You stop arguing with reality. You stop trying to edit the universe to match your preferences. You stop needing the moment to be anything other than what it is. And in that surrender, you don't become passive, you become present. You take action, not from desperation, but from alignment. You speak, not to defend, but to express love. You listen, not to prepare your reply, but to understand with your whole being. This is how the soul moves. Gently, powerfully, without rush, and oh, how the world needs more of this. More beings who don't crumble at conflict, who don't lose themselves trying to win approval, who aren't addicted to proving they're right. The world is loud with reactions. Be the one who is quiet with understanding. Be the one who slows down when others speed up. Be the one who chooses grace when the ego demands retaliation. There is a river inside you that has never stopped flowing. Even when you were tangled in your thoughts, even when you believed the voice of fear, even when you reacted with anger, shame, or pride, That river was always there, steady, ancient, divine. It is your true nature. The watcher lives there. The soul drinks from it. And your freedom begins the moment you return to its banks. So when you feel yourself being pulled into the story, the fight, the trigger, the need to explain, the craving to be seen, pause. Let the breath return you. Let your awareness remind you. Let the watcher reclaim the moment, because life isn't about avoiding the waves, it's about learning to surf them with awareness. It's about realizing that no matter what chaos dances across the surface, the depths of who you are remain unmoved. That is your home. That is your truth. That is the part of you that has never been hurt, never been lost, never been less than divine. And when you live from that place, when your identity is rooted not in ego but in soul, then your presence becomes medicine. You don't have to fix everyone. You don't have to save the world. You don't even have to change anyone's mind. Just be what you are when you're not reacting. Light, calm, truth, stillness. That is enough. More than enough. That is the invitation you offer the world. Come sit with me in this silence and remember who you are. And if they do, beautiful. And if they don't, you continue walking, not in pride, not in bitterness, but in peace. Because the watcher walks with grace. And grace, my friend, is the only power that doesn't need to shout. The watcher walks with grace, not because it is immune to pain, but because it no longer mistakes pain for identity. It has learned the sacred art of presence, not as a performance, but as a remembrance. To watch is to love without possession, to listen without preparing to speak, to live without the weight of needing everything to be different in order to be okay. And when you live like this, when you truly become the watcher, the need to be understood falls away. You no longer plead with the world to see you, to validate you, to applaud your efforts. You know that to be seen by the divine within you is more than enough. You feel the presence of the infinite, not as something to chase, but as something that never left. Something that was always whispering beneath your reaction. You are not this storm. You are the sky. It passes through. And in this realization, you soften. You stop bracing for impact. You stop rehearsing pain. You stop living from the haunted echoes of what if and what was. You rest not in exhaustion, but in awakening. You stop trying to control what's never been yours, and instead surrender to the stillness that has always been home. You forgive yourself for every time you believe the lie that you were only as worthy as your performance, only as loved as your usefulness, only as safe as your defenses. You forgive yourself for the times you reacted, for the times you fell into fear, for the times you said what your soul never meant, not because it was right, but because you are ready to be free. Forgiveness, too, is an act of watching, of saying, yes, I see the wound, but I also see who I truly am beyond it. And then something quiet but life-altering begins to happen. You stop waiting for permission to be at peace. You stop postponing joy until circumstances align. You stop bargaining with life. If this happens, then I'll feel whole. No. Wholeness is now, peace is now, God is now. Everything you've been chasing while reacting was always sitting silently in the sanctuary of your awareness. The watcher knows that time is not the answer, presence is. You don't need another year to become what your soul already is. You don't need more proof, more agreement, more applause. You need only this breath, this stillness, this radical return to the center that has never abandoned you. And this is not a theory, this is an embodiment. When you embody the watcher, your life becomes less about performance and more about presence. You start speaking less and saying more. You start needing less and feeling fuller. You begin walking through the world with a softness that doesn't ask, do you accept me? But instead radiates, I accept myself. And because you accept yourself, others feel safe to do the same in your presence. Your being becomes a sanctuary, your silence becomes sacred. You no longer react to prove your worth, you respond from the overflow of your awareness. That's how the divine speaks. Not to convince, but to awaken. Not to correct, but to reflect. You begin to realize that every trigger was a teacher, and every interruption was an initiation. That the very moments which once made you spiral were not obstacles, they were sacred doorways. Doorways leading you deeper into the witness, deeper into grace, deeper into the stillness that does not flinch, does not fight, and does not fear. And now, you are ready. Not ready to achieve something, not ready to prove anything, but ready to finally live, not from the ego's urgency, but from the soul's timelessness. Ready to meet the day, not as a battle, but as a blessing. Ready to hold space instead of hold grudges. Ready to watch your thoughts pass like clouds and realize you are the sky. You always were. The world may still swirl, people may still project, but you now walk as the calm inside the center of it all. And when old reactions try to rise, because they will, you'll meet them with compassion, not condemnation. You'll greet them like old friends with fading power, saying gently, I see you, but I no longer serve you. And in that moment, you will smile, not because life is perfect, but because you have remembered who you are. You are not the fear. You are not the noise. You are not the ego's constant commentary. You are the one who watches all of it and chooses love anyway. So breathe, beloved soul. Breathe and return to this sacred moment, to this steady presence, to this watcher that does not need to win but only needs to witness. Let others shout. Let the world race. Let the noise unfold. You just keep watching. Just keep loving, because when you are the watcher, not the reactor, you do not just change your life. You remember that you are life. And life, in its truest form, does not react. It flows. It trusts. It shines. And so do you.
There is a truth that echoes beneath the noise of this world. It is not loud. It does not beg for attention. It whispers softly but persistently beneath every breath you take and every doubt you hold. And it says, you are already whole. You are already worthy. You are already love. Not because of what you do, not because of what you own, but because of what you are. A divine being wrapped in a temporary form, here not to earn love, but to remember it. You see, somewhere along the way, we were taught to equate self-love with arrogance, with pride, with vanity. We were told to keep ourselves small, humble to the point of invisibility, quiet to the point of silence. We were trained to apologize for our light, to dim it so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable in its presence. But I am here to tell you that self-love is not vanity. It is not ego. It is not some inflated image puffed up by the approval of others. It is not a mask you wear, but the moment you take all masks off. It is not insanity. It is sanity. It is not selfishness, it is salvation. When you deny yourself love, you don't become more generous, you become more wounded. And the wounded, when unaware, wound others. A soul that has not been fed with its own acceptance will forever seek approval from others, like a starving child crying at the gate of a closed home. And the tragedy is this: the gate was never locked. It was never even real. It was a phantom created by your mind, a barrier built by belief. And you, my dear friend, are the builder and the breaker of that gate. To love yourself is not to place yourself above others, but to return to alignment with who you've always been, beneath the fear, beneath the roles, beneath the endless striving. You are not what this world convinced you to become. You are not your bank account. You are not your resume. You are not your mistakes. You are not the story your past tries to sell you. You are the breath behind the story. You are the awareness watching the storm, not the storm itself. And yet, we chase love as though it's outside of us. We chase it in people, in praise, in performance, but the heart knows the truth. Love that must be earned is not love, it's a transaction. And the soul cannot survive on transactions. It needs communion. It needs truth. And truth begins when you stop chasing and start returning. When you stop fighting for scraps and remember the feast has always been within. You were never meant to beg for what you are. You were never meant to prove yourself worthy of your own embrace. That is the madness the world taught you. That is the distortion that must be undone. You see, you don't heal by becoming someone new. You heal by remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Before shame crept in, before guilt whispered its lies, before comparison choked your joy, you heal by coming home. And home, my dear, is within. It's not in the mirror's approval. It's in the mirror's forgiveness. When you look into your own eyes and say, I see you, I love you. You don't have to be perfect anymore to be worthy of peace. That's when the shift begins. That's when the veil lifts. That's when the soul sighs in relief and whispers, finally, you remembered. And so, I ask you, what would happen if you stopped trying to be lovable and simply loved yourself? Not when you succeed, not when you fix all your flaws, but now, as you are, in this breath, with the mess and the miracle all mixed in. What would happen if you honored your scars instead of hiding them? What if they weren't proof of brokenness, but proof of bravery? Every crack in you is an opening for light. Every wound is a portal for wisdom. And every moment you choose to embrace yourself rather than abandon yourself, you rise. Not above others, but back into alignment with the divine pulse of life that created you. God did not create you to hate yourself. Life did not gift you breath so you could suffocate beneath your own judgment. The universe is not against you. The universe is within you, waiting for you to realign with your original frequency, and that frequency is love. Love that does not need a reason. Love that does not flinch when you falter. Love that does not withdraw when you make a mistake. Love that says, you are sacred still. This love does not scream, it does not argue, it does not compete, it simply is. And it is the most sane, most grounding, most healing energy you will ever know, and it begins when you stop outsourcing your worth. No one out there can give you what your own heart has the power to offer. And the moment you recognize this is the moment you stop begging and start being. The moment you realize self-love is not just a practice, it is a return to reality. The insanity was believing you were separate from your source. The sanity is remembering you never were. You were not born with doubt. You learned it. You were not born with shame. It was handed to you. You didn't arrive on this planet afraid to love yourself. You were conditioned into thinking that self-celebration was arrogance, that self-compassion was weakness, that to speak kindly to yourself was somehow self-indulgent. But the soul knows better. The soul never buys into that noise. The soul knows that honoring yourself is not egotism, it's equilibrium. It is the necessary homecoming to balance a world that has tried to pull you away from your center. Think for a moment about the tree. It does not question the space it takes up. It does not shrink to make the forest more comfortable. It does not apologize for its blossoming or its roots or its reach toward the sun. It simply grows not in competition with the others, but in full expression of what it was always destined to be. And so must you. You do not owe the world an apology for your light. You owe it your truth. You owe it your wholeness. You owe it the example of what it looks like when a person returns to their sacred self and finally stops running. Because you can run for a long time, my friend. You can run from your hurt. You can run from your reflection. You can run into careers, into relationships, into endless distractions that keep you too busy to feel. But there will come a moment, and perhaps this is it, when the running exhausts you, when even your distractions start to feel hollow. When the version of you that you built to survive no longer fits the version of you that is ready to live. And when that moment comes, It's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. It's the crack in the shell where the light gets in. That's the beginning of sanity. Not the sanity the world defines through boxes and metrics and control, but the deeper sanity of the soul. The sanity of remembrance, of clarity, of sacred stillness. The sanity that arises when you no longer try to earn your right to exist, but simply breathe in your own being as enough. And it is enough. You are enough. The caterpillar does not earn the right to become the butterfly. It simply surrenders to the process. It goes into the cocoon, it dissolves, it dies to the old form, and emerges in newness. What looks like death to the outside world is actually transformation. And perhaps what feels like crumbling within you is simply the old architecture falling away so the divine blueprint of your soul can be rebuilt, not in shame, but in love. That's what self-love does. It rebuilds you from the inside out. It doesn't fix you because you were never broken. It frees you from the illusion that you had to be fixed. It invites you to sit in your own silence, to touch the parts of you you've abandoned, and to say to them, you are safe now. I am here. I'm not going to leave myself again. Imagine the power of that. Imagine being the sanctuary you've always sought. Imagine walking through the world not looking to be validated, but to express truth. Not needing to prove anything, but simply to be a living, breathing embodiment of love itself. That is not ego. That is presence. That is your birthright. But this path isn't loud. It doesn't shout for recognition. It's not about performance. It's about depth. And depth requires courage. It takes a sacred kind of bravery to look at yourself unfiltered, unguarded, and to still choose love, to still choose forgiveness, to still say, even here, even now, especially now, I love you. You can't fake that. You can't manufacture it through affirmations alone. You must feel it. You must return to the inner child who once wondered if they were too much or not enough, and whisper, you were never too much, and you were never not enough. You were always exactly who you were meant to be. This is the kind of love that liberates. It's the kind that doesn't depend on your past, your performance, or your popularity. It is the love that sees through the masks, through the defenses, through the survival patterns, and still says yes, still stays, still believes. And that, my friend, is sanity. True sanity is alignment. It is when your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions all stem from love, not fear. When your life is no longer a reaction to pain, but a creation from peace. When your value is no longer negotiable. Because you've made peace with the one person who was always the gatekeeper. You. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. You cannot serve the world by diminishing yourself. Your presence, when rooted in truth, is a gift. Your joy is medicine. Your boundaries are wisdom. Your radiance is not a threat. It is a permission slip to others who've forgotten how to shine. But that light must be turned inward first. That love must be born in the quiet places of your heart, where no one is watching and no one is clapping. That's where the real work happens. That's where transformation takes root. And when it does, when you begin to choose love over loathing, kindness over criticism, and stillness over striving, you become a lighthouse. Not a lifeboat, not a rescuer, but a lighthouse. Simply standing in your truth, shining from within and reminding others you can come home too. When you begin to love yourself truly and without condition, the world doesn't necessarily change, but the way you see it does. The same streets, the same people, the same circumstances all begin to soften through the lens of compassion you first extend to yourself. And in that shift, what once felt like chaos begins to feel like choreography. You start to understand that everything that hurt you was never meant to break you, it was meant to wake you. To invite you to become more intimate with the sacred truth you've ignored, that you are not lacking. You are learning. You are not falling behind. You are unfolding. Self-love is not a destination you reach with a checklist. It is not a mood, a trend, or a curated morning ritual. It is a radical, ongoing act of grace. It's how you treat yourself when no one is watching. It's the gentleness you offer your mind when it races. It's the forgiveness you extend when you falter. It's how you hold your own hand when the world turns cold. It's the whisper in the dark that says, even now, I will not abandon you. Because sanity, true spiritual sanity, is not about being calm all the time or having it all together. It is about returning again and again to the awareness that you are not the noise in your mind. You are the space it moves through. You are not the wound. You are the witness. You are not the pain. You are the presence that can hold it. And that shift, that inner knowing, brings peace, not because life becomes easier, but because you become anchored. And when you are anchored in self-love, life loses its power to control you. Other people's opinions may still be loud, but they no longer own you. Their approval no longer determines your peace. Their disapproval no longer dictates your worth. You realize that you were never created to be edited by external expectations. You were created to be whole. You were created to be free. And freedom begins when the shackles of self-rejection fall off. You start to live differently. You speak more softly to yourself. You stop waiting for perfection and begin to dance with your humanity. You stop proving and start breathing. You stop reaching for something more and begin embracing what already is. And from that place, a quiet confidence rises, not loud, not boastful, but rooted. The kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. It simply exists, like a mountain, like the ocean, like the soul that no longer fears being seen. And in that state of sanity, you stop trying to be lovable and realize you are love. Not as a concept, not as a motivational quote, but as your essence, as your very breath, as the truth you carry in every cell. You see that your existence is not an accident, not a mistake, not a detour, but a divine appointment. You are here to remember, to realign, to reclaim. You are here not to become better, but to remember you were never less. You are here to embody, not to impress. You are here to be, not to become, because being pure, present, unapologetic being is the most powerful gift you could ever offer the world. And when you touch that truth, even briefly, the search ends. You are no longer chasing worthiness. You are no longer addicted to validation. You are no longer trying to fix what was never broken. You have come home. And in that home, there is quiet, there is love, there is clarity. There is you, not the version they wanted, not the mask you wore, but the real, radiant, raw you. And that, dear soul, is more than enough. There will come a moment, and perhaps it's arriving now, where you feel the weight of all the roles you've been performing, and you will quietly, maybe even tearfully, begin to lay them down. Not because you failed in them, but because you finally saw through them. You'll no longer need to be the strong one all the time, or the quiet one, or the successful one, or the agreeable one. You'll no longer need to be what others projected onto you, because you'll have found something more powerful than any performance. You'll have found presence. And presence cannot be faked. It doesn't wear a costume. It doesn't adjust itself to win applause. Presence just is. It is the stillness in you that no trauma could touch, no shame could stain, and no lie could bury forever. Presence is what remains when all the illusions fall away. And you meet it not by climbing, but by surrendering. Not by acquiring more, but by releasing what no longer serves. When you love yourself, you begin to understand the wisdom in letting go, not out of indifference, but out of reverence. You let go of the story that says you must earn rest. You let go of the belief that your worth is tied to your productivity. You let go of the assumption that you are only lovable when you please others. You release it all, not in anger, not in resistance, but in peace. You begin to see that self-love is not about adding more to yourself. It's about peeling back the layers of everything that was never truly you. And beneath those layers, there is a quiet purity, a softness that is not weakness, but wisdom, a grace that doesn't scream, but heals, a joy that isn't loud, but deep and steady, like an ancient river that never needed permission to flow. The soul doesn't compete. It doesn't compare. It doesn't rush. It simply flows with clarity and trust because it knows where it comes from and where it's returning to. And that is the sanity of self-love. It aligns you with your natural rhythm. It brings you back into harmony with your source. And once you are in tune with that sacred frequency, life begins to support you in ways you once thought impossible. You attract differently, you speak differently, you move through the world with an inner light that requires no spotlight. And you stop waiting for someone to choose you, for a future version of yourself to arrive, for the perfect moment to begin. You realize the choosing starts with you. The healing starts with you. The permission starts with you. No one is coming to give you the love you keep withholding from yourself. And the beautiful, liberating truth is, they don't need to, because that love has always been here, like the sky above the clouds, untouched, unchanged, ever present, waiting for you to look inward, waiting for you to return. And when you do, when you look in the mirror and see not a project to fix, but a soul to love, you finally understand self-love is not indulgence. It is not vanity. It is sanity. It is the remembering of who you truly are beneath it all. It is the return to your sacred, luminous, limitless self. Now, as we reach the final moments of this journey, let us pause for a moment and take in the vastness of what we have uncovered. The truth has been unfolding like the petals of a flower, each layer revealing something deeper, something more intimate. It is not just the words that we have spoken today, nor the thoughts that we have entertained, but the very essence of who you are, the divine, the eternal, the unshakable presence that has always been there, waiting to be recognized. Self-love is not a luxury. It is the lifeblood of your existence. The breath you take, the thoughts you think, the steps you take upon this earth, they all spring from the well of love that resides within you. And when you come to fully own this truth, when you no longer seek validation from external sources, but instead draw from the infinite well of your own soul, you begin to experience something truly miraculous. You begin to understand that the peace you seek, the joy that eludes you, the sense of purpose that feels just out of reach, it was never anywhere but within you. You are not broken. You are not incomplete. You are not waiting to be saved by someone or something outside of you. The power, the beauty, the clarity you've been seeking is you. It has always been you. In this moment, feel the weight of this truth. It is not heavy, though it may feel overwhelming at first. It is the weight of your own divinity. It is the weight of owning your worth, of seeing yourself not through the eyes of the world, but through the eyes of God. It is the weight of finally acknowledging that you are not just a person living in the world, but a spark of the divine, an embodiment of love, peace, and power. When you stand in your truth, unafraid and unashamed of who you are, you release the need for approval. You stop seeking to prove your worth because you know deep within your bones that you are enough. You are worthy of all that the universe has to offer. The universe responds to you not because of your actions, but because of your energy, the energy you radiate when you know that you are worthy, when you know that you are whole, when you know that you are loved. There is a profound shift that happens when you begin to love yourself. It's not just a shift in how you view yourself, it is a shift in how the world interacts with you. The energy you give off creates ripples in the world around you. Your relationships change, your work shifts, the way you engage with the people you encounter, the way you move through the world, it all transforms because you are no longer seeking to fill a hole. You are no longer seeking to gain something you don't already have. Instead, you are sharing from a place of abundance, from a place of wholeness. And it is here in this space of full ownership, where you begin to understand that self-love is not vanity, it is sanity. It is the foundation upon which everything else must be built. It is the soil that nourishes the seed of your true potential. Without self-love, you cannot access the fullness of your power. Without self-love, you cannot align with the infinite wisdom that flows through you. Without self-love, you remain disconnected from the truth of who you are and the divine purpose that is yours alone to fulfill. But with self-love, you are free. You are free to be yourself, to express yourself, to create from a place of true authenticity. No longer do you need to perform, no longer do you need to shrink or hide, no longer do you need to apologize for your existence. You are here in this moment as you were always meant to be whole, complete, and radiant. It is in this place of ownership that the soul ascends into full alignment with the divine. There is no longer any resistance to the flow of grace, no longer any struggle between who you are and who you are becoming. You become the living embodiment of your truth, and in that truth you find your freedom, you find your peace, and as you stand in this freedom, know this: you are the reflection of the divine. You are the creation of the universe itself, crafted with love, with intention, with purpose. The universe does not make mistakes. It does not create anything without reason. Your life, your existence is no accident. You are here for a purpose: to love, to serve, to grow, to create, to be. And when you embrace the fullness of who you are, when you embrace your divine identity, you align with that purpose. And as you do so, you will find that the world around you begins to mirror this truth back to you. The doors that once seemed closed will open wide. The struggles that once seemed insurmountable will become stepping stones. The relationships that once felt draining will transform into powerful sources of support and connection. The work you do, the life you lead, will become a reflection of your inner peace, your inner love, and your inner power. But this journey, this transformation, is not a one-time event. It is a continuous unfolding. Each moment is an opportunity to reaffirm your worth, to choose love over fear, to choose peace over conflict, to choose joy over sorrow. And as you do, you will find that life begins to flow with greater ease, with greater grace. So, take this truth into your heart, into your bones, into the very fabric of your being. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of every blessing the universe has to offer. And when you embrace that truth, when you stand fully in the love that is your birthright, you will experience a life that is nothing short of miraculous. Now, as you stand in your full divine identity, feel the weight of the world lifting from your shoulders. Feel the burden of self-doubt, of guilt, of fear dissolving into the air. Feel the embrace of the universe as it welcomes you home to your true self. You are not alone. You have never been alone. You are a part of something far greater than you can fully comprehend, a force of love, a force of light, a force of creation. And when you align with this force, when you align with the love that resides within you, you become unstoppable. In this moment, let go of all that no longer serves you. Let go of the doubts, the fears, the limiting beliefs that have kept you small. Let go of the past, for it no longer holds power over you. You are free. You are whole. You are enough. And as you step forward into the world, know that you do so as the full embodiment of love, as the full embodiment of your divine purpose. This is your moment. This is your time to rise, to shine, to own your truth, and to live the life you were always meant to live. Embrace it. Claim it. You are not just a person. You are the divine in human form. And it is time for you to step into that truth with every fiber of your being. So, take a deep breath and let this truth settle deep into your soul. You are worthy. You are loved. You are enough. And as you embrace this, you will find that the world around you begins to reflect the love and peace that you now carry within. Now go forth knowing that you are no longer searching for yourself. You are here. You are home. You are whole. You are free. And this is just the beginning.